Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we're going to be building a photography web app using React Hooks and Redux.js. And React hooks like useEffect, useLayoutEffect, useContext, useRef, useState, and so on. We are going to be using them in this tutorial to build this awesome application. Okay, so let's look at the application that we are going to be building in this tutorial. If we go to the end of the page, there is a load more button at the end of the page to load more pictures. We can load more pictures than we want, and also we can preview pictures too. Yeah, we can preview pictures. And there's something I want you to notice at the top here. A preview route gets added to the page if we click on an image to preview it. If we click on this picture, the preview route gets added, and that is done with React Router. So we are going to be looking at how to do something like a pop-up like this using React Router in this tutorial too. And that's not all. The search box is also working. Let's search for dogs. Yeah, so the beautiful pictures of dogs. And also let's search for another thing like cat. Okay, the reason why the results got restored back to the default result is because when the search input box the search input box is empty, it's going to return back to default. That's why. So we search for cat now. It's going to fetch cat pictures. So the load more is also working for search. It's also working for the search results. Okay. What else should we search for? Let's search for yeah. See how cool the pictures are. So this is the web application that we're going to be building in this tutorial. And this tutorial requires the knowledge of ECMAScript 6. So if you don't have the knowledge of ECMAScript 6, I would advise you to go on and learn ECMAScript 6. And I have a tutorial on ECMAScript 6 that you can watch before going on in this tutorial. So after learning it, you can come back to this tutorial and move on. And before we go on, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. It motivates me to do more cool and awesome tutorials like this. So first of all, let's create our app. npx create react app. Let's call it photo app. Okay, while it is downloading, let me explain what we are going to be using in this app. We are going to be using React Router and Pexels API to get images, then also Redux Toolkit, and also MDB React. The Redux Toolkit is the simplified version of the older Redux, which scares people a lot, because before, Redux 2 used to scare me too because of the complexity But now Redux Toolkit is very simple and very easy to use, and I'm going to be showing you how to use it in this tutorial, and you are going to confirm that yes, it is truly easy. So all the links that I'm going to be opening in this tutorial are going to be available in the description of this tutorial on YouTube. So everything we need to get started and everything we need to start using Redux, it's on this quick start page. So if you come down to this, to the install Redux toolkit and React Redux section, the only thing we just need is to install this. And also I will be installing this also, React Router and MDB React, while um, the video is being paused, so that I'm not going to take much time. Alright, I've installed everything we need. I've installed React Router. So to install the React Router, just come to the tutorial section, the tutorial page, and come down to this section and install this. This is the only thing you need to install. And also for Redux Toolkit, you just only need to install this. Just copy it here. And for MDB React, just scroll down to this section. I'm going to provide the link to the installation in the description of this tutorial. Also, just come down to the installation section, install this, and also install Photoson. As you can see on the command line, I've installed toolkits, and I've installed React Router DOM, and also MDB React. Okay, so let me move into the project here to photo app. So I'm going to be opening the app. I'm going to be starting the React app server on this command line, and be using this command line to install any dependency we need to install. So let me start React, the project now. And also let's open the project in VS Code. Okay, the project was opened on Chrome, but I would like to use Firefox just for this tutorial. Okay, let's bring up the console, and the next thing we need to do is to configure the React router. What you just need to do to configure React router is to copy this, and let's go to our code, and let's do a quick cleanup of our app. Then the only thing else is to delete this. Okay, let's clean up the index.js too, and also delete this too. Now, the way I like to structure my project is I will create a new folder called components. Then inside this component, I'll create another folder called shared. Then inside the shared is going to contain all my shared files. Okay, so let's create router.js file here. Oh, we went to .js. Okay, now let's export it. Now instead of this, it's going to contain our app, which is the default page of our project. Okay, let's move this to the index.js. We don't need this, and let's wrap our app in. Okay, no, we need to replace this app component with React router provider components. Then it's going to take router. Okay. And in router.js, I will talk more. Let's remove this because we are not using it. I'll talk more about this later in this tutorial. Now we are done with the router setup. Now let's go to the Redux. Everything we need to set up our Redux is on this quick start page. And just come here and copy this. We have to create the store.js first. So let's go back to our project. Inside the shared folder, let's create a new file called store.js. And let's just paste this. We are going to come back to it. And again, let's wrap our project with the provider components, with the Redux provider inside the index.js. So let's wrap it inside provider. Then passing store, which is going to be the store. Okay, no, not this store. Yeah, this is the store. Then the next thing is we are going to create a counter slice. The counter slice is the easier version of Redux. Oh, sorry, let's create a new file. Is the easier version. Let's name the file Redux slice.js. So this is like the minified version of Redux, because everything has been handled automatically. The Redux tongue, the Redux.js, everything that made Redux complicated before has been made easier with this create slice. So we don't need this. The only thing we need is this, and we are going to come back to it later. And don't let us forget to remove the methods. So we are exporting counter slice as default from here. Let's pass it into here and name it as main. And before that, I would like to rename this counter slice to main slice, and also rename this to main. Okay, let's import it into our store.js store. No, it was exported as a default, so it should be imported as default. Okay, yeah, that is all we need to do this. We need for the setup. Now the last thing we need to set up is our MDB. Now we need to just copy that and come to our index.js and paste it here. Yeah, that's all we need. So the next thing I would like to do is to create a component here called main components .jsx. Then import React. Then the way I like to create my component is with const equal to. Now the first component, the first hook we are going to be talking about in this, we are going to be using in this tutorial is the memo hook. So there are so many ways to use React hook, either by importing them this way, or by using them with React.memo this way, or by using them this way. So I prefer this way because I will not have to import them from the top here, which at times can result into mistake, which can result into an error. Okay, so React.memo creates a memoized function, which is an optimized function. So we are just going to pass in the proper component, then return a container. Because we are using Bootstrap, I would like to return MDB container. Okay, so let's pass in this just to confirm that it is working. BG danger. Then let's add a style to it, style of height 100 VH. Okay, now let's export it. Don't let us forget to export it. Export defaults main components. Now let's import it in our app.js. That is going to be the only thing that is going to be inside our app.js, and that's basically because it is just this tutorial. Now let's clean up our app.css. Yeah, that is gone. So let's check our app in the UI. Router is not defined. Where? Router is not defined. Router is not defined. Okay, yeah. We forgot to import it. Okay, now let's go back to our app. Our app is now working. The component is now showing. Now let's make it full screen. To do that, let's pass in fluid. Yeah, let's check it again. Yeah, it's now full screen. So the next thing is we need a card. We need a card to display our picture in. So let's come to this section here. This is the card that we need. Let's just copy it here. Okay, now I would like to create another folder called reusables, which is going to take all my reusable components, and meanwhile in this tutorial it's just going to be only one component, reusables just.jsx. No, yeah, it's .jsx. Then let's just paste it in. Now we are not exporting it as default. Const, let's name it card UI equal to props. Then export card UI, export const card UI. Let's make this also an optimized component. Okay, so let's go back and let's create a new folder called UIs. Don't worry, this is going to be the last folder we are going to be creating in this tutorial. Then a new file called home.jsx, which is going to take in our home component. Import React. Then const home equal to React dot use, not use, memo. Then props. Then return, because our main component is a container, so this is going to be a row, MDB row. Then let's import our card UI into the home component. This needs to be imported. Yeah. So don't let us forget to export it. Export default home. Okay, now let's import home. Yeah, so let's check the UI. Yes, the home has been imported into the main component, and also the card UI is now displaying home component, but this is not how we want it to be displayed. Now let's fix the usables. Now what we need to do is to wrap it inside MDB code. Okay, now XS on small screens, we want it to be 12, we want it to be full screen. MD, let it be 6, and LG, let it be 4, just 4. Then let's move this into it. Okay, now let's check the UI. Wow, let's check the home components. But let's just reload the page. Yeah, it's not working. Okay, we need to fix the CSS and add a padding to it. Class name, padding horizontal 4. Okay, yeah. And the next thing we need to do is to add a search box. Now let's come to MDB again. Let's search for the search box. So let's just grab this. We are not going to be doing much CSS, so in this tutorial, search box.js, let's name it search box. Okay, so let's comment it down. I'll talk about useState soon, and let's remove this and set it to no. And yeah, we don't need this too. Okay, now let's import this search box into our main component. This is not how I like to import my components or initialize my components. I like to do it this way: const, then search box, export default search box. Yeah, that is it. Let's import it here. Search box, then search box. Look, it should be at the top of the home component. Yeah, this is it. So let's add padding to the main component, which is going to be padding vertical 5. Okay, let's add padding to the sides, px 5. Yeah. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is to remove this bg danger. Okay, now next thing is, let's get this API, and the first API I would like to use is the created API, which is this. Now let's create a new file named constants.js, then which is going to hold all our constants, const API endpoints. Okay, per page we want 80. Then another endpoint I would like to use is the search endpoint. Okay, export const search endpoints. So we need to move this query, we need to move it to the end because it's going to be dynamic. I set this to empty. Search API endpoint. Okay, whatever. So the next thing we need to do is to create the functions file, function.js file. Then let's create a function for to get data, to get the images, then it's going to be an async export const. This will be an async function which is going to take in page. This is going to take in page, then return await fetch, then API endpoints. Because we are going to be making a get request, so then the endpoint needs the header and authorization header, which is going to require my API key. So I'm going to create a new file with my API key because I don't want to show my API key. So I'm going to create a new file with my API key. This is the file here. I'm just going to create that file, and let's see if it is possible to move file here. Okay, my API is already displaying. Okay, after this tutorial I'm going to reset the API key. So we just need to import the API key here. API key. So that's all. Then the next thing is the response. Let's convert the response to a JSON. Then the data, let's just return the data like that. And if an error occurs, let's return undefined. So that's all. Now let's duplicate it and create a search images, which is going to take in search endpoints, then plus the query. The query is required, plus the query. Okay, now this we need to add it to it this way, and you will get why we are doing it this way just in a moment. Okay, search API, the endpoint has been set up. Now what you need to do is to request the API for the images. Now to do that, let's create the next hook we are going to be using in this tutorial is the useState. Let's create a state which is going to be named image lists. Update image list. Then React.useState, which is going to take an array by default as a default value. Okay, then the next thing is to create the function const request or fetch images is an async. Okay, then request image is equal to get images. Now we need to await because this is a promise. Okay, so because this can return undefined too, if an error occurred, while getting the image. So let's undo it by saying equal to undefined return. Just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to be returning an alert message saying an error occurred. Okay, let me just increase the font a bit. An error code will not get images. Okay, please try again. Yeah, let me put a semicolon at the back. Now after that has been done, let's just log, first of all, let's log the image that was returned, request image, and let's see it. Okay, before that, let's call our function. Before we talk about the next hook, let's see what happens if we call our function that way. Well, yes, it gets called, but that is not a good way and an optimized way of calling functions in React, because this can also affect the performance of the app. So the better way to call it is by using React.useEffect. Then we need to pass in a dependency list. What this dependency list does is that, okay, first of all, let's pass in this to this. Is that it's going to re-execute whatever is inside the useEffect callback. It's going to re-execute it whenever any of the dependencies that was passed to it gets changed. Any number of dependency can be passed to it. So if any of these dependency changes, it's going to re-render. So be careful of the kind of dependency you pass to useEffect, because it can cause a lot of issues. Now let's check the browser. Let's reload the page again. Now let's check the browser. It has get the data. Now what we need to pass to the states is this photos array. Is the photos array which contains our photos, and we also need this page too. We are going to come back to it just in a moment. Now update image, request image of photos. Okay, now how do we pass data to our home components? To pass data to our home components, is just do it this way: image list. Now let's go to our home component, and because we are using props already, we can now work with it this way. So let's check if props dot image list dot length is greater than 0, then we want to do something with the card UI. Else just render no images. Okay, no images. Now let's just, now instead of just passing this card UI, we need to loop through the image list. Now to do that, we can just do it inside here and just do something like .map. But I would like to create an app that is performing very well, that has the best performance. Now to do that, we don't need to do something like that, because that also affects the performance of the app. We need to create a separate component called, let's just call it image image list UI. That's the name. I'm sorry, that's the name I can call it now. Let's memorize it and pass in props. Okay, now the image list is now going to be the one to return. Okay, it's going to loop through the props.imageList props.imageList.map image, then card UI. The card UI now is now going to return the card UI. Then we can now pass the image. We just need two things: the name of the photographer and also the image you want to display. So the version that we are going to be displaying in this app is just the medium version, because other higher version is going to take time to load in the UI. So let's just use the medium version. So image go to image.src.medium. Then the next one is photographer, which is going to take in image.photographer. Okay, now image list UI, let's call it here image list UI. Then just pass in the props.imageList. Pardon me, let me do it this way. Okay, yeah. Now, but our card UI is not already handling this. Let me just copy this and go to our usables. Then we don't need these two. We just need the card title, which is going to hold the photographer, props.photography. Then also this is going to render the props.image. Okay, let's go back and yeah. So this, let's now go to the UI. Okay, let's debug it. It's like props.imageList. This is greater than 0. Yeah, props.imageList. Image list. home.js6 line 7. Props.imageList is on file. Oh, sorry, it was the search box I passed it into instead of the home. Okay, now I think it should work well now. Okay, now it has rendered our image. Our image has been rendered. Now in the console we are getting one error which says each child should have a unique key. Now let's use a unique key in which each photo has each ID, so we can use the ID of the photos as the key. So let's pass in key here, key image.id. So we shouldn't get such error again. Or let's check for other unique value. There's no other thing we can use as the unique value. Okay, that is working. Our app is working well now. Now the next thing I would like to add, okay, before adding a load more button, let's talk about the alternative way of passing down props to child components. To pass down props to child components using this method, it can also has its own performance influence on the components. It can also affect performance of the component. So other method to pass down props is, let's create a is using React context. So let's create a context here called main component context. Then it's going to be React dot create context. We first of all create the context. Then inside here we are going to, because this is the provider component, provider. Then we must import it first. Then let's move this into it, and this, yeah. Now we need to pass in value, which we are going to be passing in objects, which for now is just going to be this image list. Then we can now remove this image list here. Now how do we consume this context inside this home component? Let's go to our home component. We can either consume the context this way, main component context dot consumer. Then we are now going to get the data that we passed in, from here. We are now going to get it like, we're not going to get it like this. If we destructure it like that, we're going to get it. Then we can now pass in this into it. We can now pass it in like this. Then use it. Then use the image list like that. But there's an alternative way that I prefer. And that is using a React hook called useContext. Use main component context name. There's no other name I can call it for now. Though you can call it any other name, but that is what I can call it for now. Use context. Then which context are we trying to use? Main component context. Then you can now use it that way. Instead of the props, let's pass it in like this. Pass it in this way. Yes. So that is that. Let's check our app if it is still working the same way. Let's load the page and let's see the app is still working the same way. Now let's implement a load more button. Now at the bottom of the home component, let's create a component for the load more. Let's use the MDB button. It's in load more. Then it's going to take in on click. Then we are going to call this fetch image. Yes, that is now what is going to make us to use the Redux. Now we need to pass in the page. Let's go back to the main component. We need to pass in the page to this get image. We need to pass in the page to this get image from here, like maybe page 2 or page 3 or page 4, so that it's going to fetch the next set of page, the next set of pages. So to do that, we will need to create a state here called page initially 1. Then let's change this to update page number, then page dot state dot page equal to action of payload. Don't let us forget to change this to update page number. Now let's go back to our main component. Now to use this page state inside our main component, we are going to get it using, let's name it current page, using use selector, which is a Redux hook, and we can get it like this state dot. Don't let us forget our the reducer's name that we are getting data from, which is called name, which is called main dot. Then we can now get this state from it like that, then dot page. Yeah, okay, so we can now do it like this, page plus 1. Now we need to pass in, don't forget that inside this function we are passing in page here. Now we need to pass in the page. We need to pass in the page, which is going to be like this, page equal to plus current page. Now instead of this current page, we also need to pass, because we are passing in a data here, so we can do something like requests page, that is the page to be sent with the request. So if a page was passed, use the page, else use the current page. So we can now replace it with request page. Now though we are using the default value of this current page, we are going to be the result of this function, of this thing that we are doing, is that it's going to result into using the default value of this current page. But if we want to use the current value of this page, of this current page variable, it might cause some optimization issue. Now to resolve the optimization issue, we are going to use the next hook that we are going to be using in this tutorial. It's called React.useCallback. Now this callback also takes a dependency list. This dependency list, then we are now going to pass in this as a dependency list. What this does is that if we are using this state inside the fetch, inside the useCallback function, and we did not pass it as as a dependency to it, it's not going to get updated whenever it's using it. Whenever we call this function, it's not going to use the updated version or the updated value of this variable. It's not going to use it. So for it to use it, we have to pass it as a dependency, so that whenever it gets updated, the value gets updated here too. But it's not going to cause a automatic recall for this function, that it's not going to, whenever it gets updated, it's not going to automatically run this function. No, it's not going to automatically run the function. It's just going to update. It's just going to let this function use the updated version of this variable. So that is it. So now we can now test it in the UI. Now before that, we need to update. This is where we are going to need the page. This page, we need it now. Now to update this state, we are going to use Redux dispatch, which is going to be a use dispatch hook. Though this hook comes with Redux, but you can also create your own custom hook. But we are not going to be doing that in this tutorial, just for the sake of time. Now let's pass dispatch. Then let's go back, and we are going to be dispatching to this method here. Let us forget to import it. Then payload. The payload that we are passing is the dot page. Now let's go back and reload. Now if we go back to the bottom of the page, okay, I need to fix some styling there. Class name py computer margin y 4, then spaceless justify contents center. Okay, now if you click on load more, it's going to load more data. Now the reason why is it looks like it is rendering is because of what I'm going to talk about now. And again, I need to fix the styling. Now let's go to our reducibles and add a margin bottom 3. Okay, now to fix that issue, let's go back, and now we need to add the previous data that is in our state. We need to add it to the current data that was returned from the API when we click on load more. So to do that, we need to add, to get the updated version, to get the updated version of this image list, we need to pass it as a dependency and create a variable name all image list. So that's the name I can call it for now. Then ES6 the structure. Yeah, that's not ES6 the structure. Sorry. Okay, now let's load the page again, just to be sure. Now let's go to the end of the page. As you can see, the new set of data that was returned from the API got added to the UI. Now let's check the network. Let's see what the stuff is doing. Now you see it is page 3. This is the page 3. The page got incremented, but the issue we're having is that the API is returning the similar image twice. It's returning similar image twice. It's returning similar. It keeps returning similar image. So let's just ignore that and go to the next thing. The next thing we need to work on is our search. So let's go to the search box and make it work. Okay, now let's create a function called undo search, which is going to be an optimized function, async also. Okay, so now let's create okay, before that, fetch data equal to await search images, which is the method that makes the search request for us. Now this request can also return undefined if an error occurred. While requesting the endpoint, the API endpoint. So I'm just going to return an alert saying an error occurred while performing the search. Try again. Okay. Now we need to remove the search stuff at the end. We need to remove it and just make it full screen. So we are going to be using enter to send data, to make the request. So to do that, because this is not a controlled input field, so we can just do it this way. On key up, then E. Now if e dot key dot to lowercase equal to enter, then it means we've sent the user has clicked enter and is ready to make the search. So let's call undo search. Now how do we now pass the value from this input feed into our into this place? Now that's where we are going to talk about the next hook, which is called ref. Input ref. That's going to say use ref. By default it's going to be null. Then let's pass in the ref here. Ref, then E, ref, input ref dot current equal to E. So that's how ref works. So ref is just like I'm creating the reference to this input field component, or to this input field component. Then I'm not going to have access to all the APIs of this input field, or all the properties of this input field component. So now we can because this input field component, because the input field component has a value property to get the value of the input feed. So we are just going to say dot value, because it might be null. Okay, now before we go on, let's log the data that got returned. Let's log it and let's check it. Oh, sorry. React.useRef. Okay, now let's move this up and let's go to the network tab. Network tab and make a search cat. Okay, yeah, it got passed to the API. Now let's make another search. Yeah. Okay, it got updated. Now what I'm trying to check is that it might not update this ref inside useCallback, but luckily the value gets updated. The value gets updated inside useCallback, but to prevent issue and just for us to be sure and just for us to be safe, let's pass it as a dependency to the useCallback function. So we can even try it again, and we see that it's going to work. Okay, let's just do this. Cat. Okay, cat. You see the data got returned. Now, how do we now pass this data that got returned to our home component from our search box? Now we can do it either two ways, either using Redux. We can create a state that holds the search results, and then we are now going to get it inside our home component, and that is going to be a lot of work, for Redux, because it's going to be Redux is going to make Redux to handle more data than that is expected, and Redux is going to throw, there's a particular error Redux throws if something like that happens, because Redux don't expect such amount of data to be stored inside Redux, and also we don't want to persist that data. It's just for that search result only. And the second option is to pass down a function, is to pass down this update image list as the context, then call it inside the search box, which then updates this image list, which then reflects inside the home component. So we are not going to be passing down this image list directly. We are just going to create a function const handle update image list. Then it's going to be a optimized function too. Then we can now pass in the new image list const. Then we can now update this image list here, then update it, because we are going to be overriding all the previous value inside the state with the current value. So let's do it that way. Then we can now pass down the function like this. Then we can now call the function inside the search box. Now before that, let's consume it. Use main component context name equals to React dot use context, then main component context, and we can now call dot what's the name of the function, then update image list, then we can now pass in dot photos. So now let's check it if what we are doing is the right thing to do. Now let's bring this down a bit, and let's search for cat. As you can see, our app gets updated with cats. Our app got updated with cats. Now the next thing we need to do is, okay, let's just perform another search. Giraffe. Yeah, giraffe. Image of giraffes. Okay, yeah, that is done. Now what I'm going to do next is, if we delete the data in this search box, I want to return the data, the image on the home page back to the default image. Now let's do that. On key up, if e dot current target dot value equal to null. Then just call that function. Okay, before that, we can go to the next thing that we are supposed to do next, which is going to be setting the search value into the Redux search value, because I want it to be available throughout the component. Update search value. Update search value. Update search value. Search value. Then action the payload. Now to update the search value, let's come back here and update search value. Let's use the dispatch equal to use dispatch. Okay, it was not exported. We forgot to export it, and it can also be like this, just so that it's going to be more readable. Okay, dot value. Now this value is now available. The value of the input search is now available globally, and we can also do it this way. On key up, update this search value. Update the search value, which is going to be this. Though this is also going to have its own. Is also going to have its own performance performance issue on the app, but it can still be neglected. So what we need it for is what we were trying to do, and I'm going to be using it inside useEffect. Then let's get it, because it's just like search value dot what did you name it? The search value. useEffect dot search value. Okay, search value. Now let's pass it as dependency here. Now whenever this search value gets updated, it's going to run this method, this callback function. Now what do we want to do? If we are going to check if search value equal to null, let's use triple equal to, because this is what is required for comparison in React.js. It is required to use triple equal to. Okay, if search value is null, fetch image, return the image back to the default. Now let's check that. If search value is null, fetch image. So what this is going to do is, once the page loads, it's going to check for the search value in the Redux state. Then if the search value is null, then it's going to call this. which is going to make it call this fetch image multiple times. Let's confirm it by checking the console. You see it gets called multiple times. Now let's return it. So now we don't need this again. Let's just comment it out. We don't need this again. We only need this. Let's reload the page again. Yeah. Okay. Now let's test it. Cat. Okay. Now let's try to delete it. What is happening? Component.image list is already fine. The search box. If fetch data is equal to undefined, return this. Okay, I think let's just ignore that error just because of time. You can debug it on your own, but I'm trying to debug why the useEffect is not calling. Now let me check if, let's undo it here. If the value equal to null, just return. Don't perform any search. So it's not going to give that error again. But this useEffect is not running. Why? Its search value equal to null. Now let's load it. Let's see what is happening. And let's just filter it out. Empty string. Okay, it means it was not updated. Let's go back to this place. Update search value. Oh, no. We want to update it every time the onKeyUp event gets called. So it's going to work. See that useEffect function, the useEffect root get called every time the search value state gets updated. So let's do it again. So I'm expecting it to make that request. Okay, didn't make the request. Why? Okay, let's check the network tab. Let's reload the page. Check the network tab. Okay, let's clean it again. Yeah, it was called. It was called, but the API was called. But why didn't? Okay, the data got added the data got added to the current data. So to fix that, let's just clear the state. Let's clear the state. Now let's return it back, clean this, and cat. No, this didn't run. Update image list, set it to empty. No. Why isn't it getting updated? Okay, you can just call and image list and pass in an array to it. Let's see if that will work. No, it won't work. Okay, we can pass in a pop here saying an argument reset, which is reset. If reset is not equal to undefined, then just do this. Just add the image. Else, if it is undefined, just add the image to it. So you can do it that way. So now we're going to pass in fetch image, the first one for the page undefined, and also reset. You can pass in anything. Let's just pass in 2. Now let's reload and cut. Yeah, see, now it is now working as expected. Okay, now let's go to the next thing. The next thing is our search is working and everything is working. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Now we've talked about some hooks. Okay, now let's go to the next thing, which is going to be what? Okay, let's go to the next one. If we want to preview any image you click on. If you click on an image, we want it to display in a modal that we are going to create now. And let's add a preview file here, review.jsx, import React, const review UI, React.memo, props. No, you don't need props. and return a MDB container. Then the MDB container is going to be display the position fixed, top 0, left 0. Then let's add a background color to it. Background color, which is going to be RGBA 0,0,0,0.7. Okay, yeah, that is that. Then don't let us forget to export it. Export default. Now we can implement this review UI anyhow, but just for the sake of this tutorial, I want to show how to implement a pop-up modal using router. So to do that, we are going to create children here, which is going to take in an array. Then it's going to take something similar to what is here. Yeah. Review UI. Let's import it. Okay. Now, for this page to show, whenever it is being routed into, for it to show, it's going to, okay, before that, let's try to route to it if it is going to work. Now let's inside reusable. No, I'm not creating it inside reusable. We need to add a link. Okay, inside here, let's add a function called const handle route. Let's just call it handle route dot useCallback. Okay, now it's going to take in the image and also the photographer. Yeah, this is called what am I? Okay, now to route to that component to another page, we can either use the link. You can either use Redux or React router link, but in our case, we are going to use the use navigate hook. Now navigate to preview, the preview page. Now let's create a Redux that's going to hold our preview data, which is going to hold the image and also the photographer. Now update preview data. Update preview data. Update preview data, action uploaded. So don't let us forget to export it. Now let's come back to our home page and we need a dispatcher here. Const dispatch. Let's use dispatch. Okay, dispatch the components we are dispatching. Then the data we want to pass in is just the image and photographer. Because of ES6, I'm going to be passing them, I'm going to be doing them this way. So what it does, if you don't know much about ES6, I have a tutorial on ECMAScript 6 that you can watch just to learn more about ES6. So having doing this, now let's pass in handle route as a prop to the card UI. Now let's go back to the reusables and on click of the card UI, on click, we want to run that handle route, then props.photographer, and also I will also be duplicating this card UI, which we are going to be using for the image preview UI, while this is going to also, okay, it's not going to do anything. Then we can remove this, and LG we can make it Excel, it should be 8, but MD should be 6. So, but from XS to MD is going to be 8, but from LG and above is going to be 6. So image preview UI, let's just pass it to the preview, and image preview UI. Let me create a row first, MDB row, then you can now use this image preview UI. Okay, we are going to be getting the value from our Redux. We are going to be getting the value from our Redux. Const preview data equal to use selector state dot main dot preview data. Then we need the image, which is going to be preview data dot image. Then we need the photographer, it's going to be this dot photographer. Yep. Then another thing we need to add is the class name, which is going to be dflex, just for it to be at the middle. Justify context center, align items center. Okay, yeah, that is it. Handle route is not defined. Okay. Preview reusables, yeah, props dot handle route. Okay, it's now working. Now let's now check it. Now we've clicked on it and it has routed to the preview, but why is it now showing? Why is it not showing? That is where I'm going to introduce the React router outlets. So the outlet is going to tell the router that the children of this is going to tell the router that the children of this part, I want to display them inside this container, inside the container that the outlet was called in. So now if you go back to it, you see that this image is now displayed here. This image is being displayed here. Now let me give it some styling, some padding. Let me give it padding preview. Padding, and give it 5. Okay, seems like it is going out of. Okay, I can just reduce it. I can go to variables, reduce it to 4. Okay, yeah. Now one more thing is the preview. It should be h100. Yeah, it is now full screen. And also the flex, this also needs to have h100. Yeah, so it is now, the image is now being displayed in the at the middle of the container. Now what if we want to go back? But before I discuss the going back, the issue with this kind of pop-up is that if the user routes to this page from the URL, it's not going to display any image. You see, it's not going to display an image. And I intentionally did it like that just to show how to do this kind of pop-up with React Router. It's just for this tutorial sake. Like if you want to do something like this, you can pass in something like this, like the ID of the image that you want to get. So you can pass in something like that, so that once the user, if the user routes it that way, it's just going to perform a fetch and fetch that image by the ID in the URL. So that is that. So now the next thing we need to do is to do the back button, something like closing the preview. Now we can do it just for the sake of this tutorial. Let's just do it like this. Now we are going to be using hook const navigate. There's going to be just navigate hook, then navigate -1. Navigating this means this is going to tell the router that I'm trying to go back to the previous page. You see, it went back to the previous page. So if I click on this, so if we want to make the container full screen, we can pass in fluid to it. Doesn't seem like, yeah, it seems, yes, it is full screen, but let's do right. Okay, let's just leave it like that. Okay, so our stuff is working. Yeah, so now let's try to search for cat preview. The preview is working. Let's search for lions. The preview is working. It's working. Okay, yeah, I think we are done with this tutorial. I think this is all we need to discuss about this tutorial. Okay, one more thing is if we click on load more, let's try to click on load more. You see that the data that was returned is not related to the search results. Now let's make it that way. Since since this search value is now global, so we can do that. So to do that, let's create a separate function to handle this onClick. Handle load more React dot useCallback. Then let's do it this way. Let's cut it from here and put it inside the space. Fetch image. Then replace it with handle load more. Okay. Now we need to, as I have said before, we need to pass this as a dependency so that it's going to use the updated version of this variable. Okay, now we need to check if the value is not, if the value of this, or if the search value is not null. If the search value is not equal to null, then it means there still is a value inside our search value. So we can, don't let us forget to pass that also as a dependency. Then we are going to call this, we are going to call this search image. Let's call the search image, then passing the search value. We need to import it too. Yes. Okay, we can just return search image. So because we are not using, this is going to cause an issue for the search. This is going to cause an issue for the search because we are handling something here. So it means we have to move this. We have to move the handle search also to the main component. Let's comment it here and move it to the main component. Handle search. Then we can just do handle search, then passing the search value. So it's just going to do that. So we don't need to pass down this handle update image list again. So what we are going to pass down instead is this handle search. Okay. Now handle search, return handle search value. So we are going to pass in the search value. It's going to take in the value handle search value. Okay, now let's implement it inside our search box. So it's going to be use. So we can still use this handle search just so that we are going to implement the ref hook. So that we are going to implement the ref hook. So this dot handle search. Then it takes in it takes the value handle search. Now let's check what we've done. Now let's check it again. If everything is well. Yes, if search values is not equal to null, that is, there is a search value inside the input inside the search box, then do it this way, but fetch the next page. So you can do it like, okay, let me check the constants per page. Okay, yeah, we can add a page query. Let's go back to the function and add a page query to it. Page, which is going to be empty automatic by default. So and page equal to, okay, let's this page be 1 by default, page plus 1. Okay, now we can now pass this to it. The current page, we can now pass the current page to it. Current page plus 1. Current page plus 1. Yeah. Okay. Now we need to also update the current page inside handle page number, inside this handle search. We need to update the page number. Fetch data dot page. Yeah, I think this is done. And inside the search box, we need to do some cleanup here. Are we still using dispatch? Okay, yeah, there's no cleanup. Okay, it's just these search images we need to remove, but we can just comment it out. Now let's go back to the UI. Let's search for cat. Okay, let's go to the end of the page and click on load more. Are we getting any error? Page 1, page equal to, let's go back and check and do search image and do search current page. Page equal to 1. Page. So if this page was not passed, it's going to pass 1 instead. So then if it is passed, it get passed the value. And let's check it again. Cat. Okay, let's go to the end of the page. Okay, yeah. Now that is where we now need to update the data and do search. We need to do something like this here too. We need to do something like that here too. So it's going to be image list, then fetch data dot photos, image list. Let's pass this image list as a dependency, then image list, all image list. Yeah, but this we will need to if we are making the request for the first time, if we are making the request for the first time, we need to clear this image list. But okay, yes, we can do it this way. If page is if the current page equal to 1, then let's just update this with the current value, update this with the returned value, else just do this. Yeah, okay, so cards. Now let's go to the end of the page, click on load more. What? Okay, yeah. Now you see it fetched new data of cards, and it gets added to the current data. Seems like we're having a okay, yes, let's bring this down, and okay, yes, it's not working fine now. Yeah, so this is the end. We have come to the end of this tutorial. If you would like to change this to the original, to view the original images, you can just change it that way. You see, it's taking time. The images are very, very fine and high quality. The images are very, very fine and high quality. Let's search for cards images. So it's taking time because the images are taking time to load, because they are in high quality, very high quality. We can look for a lesser quality. We can display a lesser quality, which is large, which is the next quality after medium is large. Let's just use large instead. So at least the large is in better quality than the medium. See, the quality is very, very good. Yeah. And if we should review it. See, 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 see. Yeah. So we've come to the end of this of the tutorial, and one more thing we need to add. Let's just add one funny thing at the top, which is going to be, let's add div.h1, then photo, cool photo. Let's add something like this, cool photo app, cool photo app. Yeah. So the padding, I think the padding is okay. Yeah, so we've come to the end of this tutorial. If you want to implement, if you want to make this review to be in another page, you can just move this router, you can just move this out of the children, cut it out of the children, and make it stand on its own like this. You see, it's now on a new page. It's now on a new page. It's now on a new page. You see, it's on a new page. If you prefer it to be on a new page, you can do it that way. You see that it went back to the previous page, and it went back to the top. Okay. One more thing I would like to check is, it seems, let's check empty string, then it gets, it was not supposed to be rendering this useEffect, supposed not to be rendering. Let me see if I can implement it in another way. Fetch images. Okay, you can implement it in another way. Let's pass this down as a prop, and that is going to introduce us to the remaining hook, to the remaining React hook I'm going to be talking about, that I'm going to be using in this tutorial. So let's go to the search box. If this equal to empty string, then just do this. Undefined, then do. Now you can now remove this useEffect here. You can remove it. So if the app has not, so because we are not calling this function, because we are not calling it now, because we are not calling it in any way, that's why the UI is not rendering any thing. So the better way, like in our case now, we want to fetch images. When the page loads, you want to fetch new images, you want to fetch images and display them on the UI. The better way to do it is not with useEffect. The better way to do it is using React.useLayoutEffect, which also works like useEffect, but it's just like this gets called before the page finish loading. So this is where it is good to do something like this. Oh, sorry. This is where it is good to do something like this. This is where it is good to do something like this. Undefined. It is undefined. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is where it is good to do to make an API request call. If you want to make an API request to get data from the API and display it on the UI, immediately the page loads. The best place to do it is inside useLayoutEffect. So let's check the UI now. You see that our page works just the same way. You see the data gets rendered almost immediately the page finish loading. Let's check how it is going to get rendered if we use useEffect. You see there's a little bit delay in it when you compare it with useLayoutEffect. So that is it. And yes, I think now we've come to the end of the tutorial. I think we've come to the end of the tutorial. Yeah. Why is it rendering back when it went back to this page? Okay, yes. The reason why it is getting called back is because it is going back to this page, and since it is going back to this page, it's going to render everything inside that page. Of course, it's going to reload everything inside that page. That is why. So, but let's go back to our React router. Let's just comment this out. Let's copy it and comment it out and put it inside this place. So this is not causing any re-rendering, and it is better than it. So we've come to the end of the tutorial. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumb up. So one more thing, we've not come to the end of the tutorial. If we click on this load more, I want it to indicate that it is loading. You see that it's not indicating that it is loading. To do that, let's go to Redux. Let's add loading false. The default value is going to be false. Then we can now do update loading, then which is going to take something similar to this. So okay, loading action.payload. Then don't let us forget to export it. Now loading, if it is loading, if we click on loading, we are going to be doing it inside this page, the fetch image. If it is loading, if the page is not undefined, it means the request was sent from the load more, then if the page is not equal to undefined, then let's update it, dispatch update loading to, then after it has finished loading, let's set it back to false. Now we can do the same thing inside the method below, inside the undo search. If page, okay, let's just do it this way. If page is not equal to undefined, to else, it means the request was sent, these functions was called from the load more button. Okay, what else? Yes, so this page, if nothing is passed to it, it's going to be undefined. And this function is going to assign 1 to it because it is undefined, because it was not set from where it is being called. So it's going to be 1, and it's going to pass in 1 to here, to this place. So that is it. Yeah, I made a mistake. Update loading. Yeah, I forgot to import it. Okay, yep, as you can see, our app is still working as the same way. If you click on, now what we forgot is, let's call it loading. Now you can now use the state now, loading. If it is loading, disable it, then we want to do some magic. It is going to be like, if it is loading, display loading, else display load more, else display load more. Okay, now let's click on it. You see, but it was very fast. That's why we didn't treat very well. Okay, so in this tutorial I talked about React hooks. I've spoken about memo, the memo hook, useState, useRef, useContext, React useContext, useEffect, then useLayoutEffect. Let me get those grab there. useLayoutEffect. And I also used other React hooks like the one from React Router and the ones from React Redux, So we've come to the end of the tutorial. Please, if you like this tutorial, please give it a thumb up, and if you don't like it, please let me know what I can do to improve my tutorials. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe. It motivates me to do more tutorials like this. Please subscribe. Thank you. Yeah, so before we finish everything, I noticed some bugs in the code, and some were introduced with when I added this block of code. So we this page, just let us test it out. If we reload the page now and we decide to search for dogs, or better, let's use cats, you see that the cat didn't display on the UI. If we check but if we check the end of the list, you see that the result gets pushed to the end of the list. So what we need to do is that in this place we need to check for undefined, because this page is now undefined by default. Now I think that should fix that issue. Now let's start for cat again. Okay, let's let's click on load more. I discover another bug in which this these pictures that was appended to the to the end of the cat to the end of the cat image, they were the pictures that were inside. Okay, the pictures were appended before, they were added before the cats these cat pictures that we are searching for in the search box. So to fix this, I noticed that we need to pass in image list to this load more function too, because we are calling this handle search, which is a use callback function from this handle load more method. So we need to pass it as a dependency too. Now let's check it in the UI. Now let's search for cats. Okay, now let's go to the end of the list and click on load more. You see that the error has been resolved. If we go to the start of the page, the error has been resolved. Now one more error I discovered is, if we let's load the page, if we should go to the end of the page and click on load more, go to the end of the page again, click on load more, and click on load more multiple times. Now let's click on load more multiple times, and if we go back to the top, let's go back to the top and search for cats. You see that the previous data got added to the start of the results, and our search results got added to the end of our previous data. Now the solution to that is we can either, because let's check where this image list is being called. The handle search is being called. The handle search is being called from, we pass down handle search from here to the search box, where we are now calling it from here. So I think the issue might be from here. I think the issue might be from here. And another solution we can use is that we can use set timeout. We can set the value of the state to empty and use set timeout. And use set timeout that maybe after 600 seconds it should now add the new data to it. Now let's check it now. Let's click it multiple times. Let's click it multiple times. Let's click it multiple times. Let's click it again. Now let's search for cats. Yeah, you see that it has been fixed. The error has been fixed. If you click on load more again, you see the error has been fixed. So if we go to the top, and the last error is if we go to the top and try to delete the cat, and now you see that the data that was returned are the data after the first set of data. You see this page next page number is, and the previous page number is 1. Well, I think it is correct, but to fix it we need to reset the page number. Whenever we click on search, or here whenever the search result is about to reset, we need to reset the page number to 1. Now let's check it out. Okay, we forgot to import it. Now let's load the page and let's do our test again. Now let's go to the top and search for cats. Yeah, let's go to the end, let's click on load more and click on load more again, and click on load more again. Now let's go to the top and reset it. You see, this looks like the first set of data. Oh, it is page 3. Well, I think let's go back and fetch images. Yeah, I think that is actually an issue, but there's no enough time to fix it in this tutorial. So you can just go over it and just fix it. And these two, there are other better solution to fix this workaround that I did here, but for the sake of time and for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just gonna do it this way. And if you can get an alternative way to fix it, yeah, it is good. And other thing we can do is that whenever we are searching, let's display a searching text. Let's display a searching text at the top here, which is going to say div, and okay, let's just copy the whole class there. Let's copy the whole class and let's just type loading. That's everything we need. Then let's check it in the UI. Yeah, this is that's what is going to look like. So if it is loading, let's copy it from here. If it is loading, if it is loading. If loading is true, then let's execute this. Yeah. Yeah. So if you search for cats, okay, it means we can actually just remove this if statement checks. We can remove them. Let's just comment them out, or better, instead of this, let's comment this out, then duplicate this, and yeah, let's do it that way. Okay, so if we go to the front end and loading, so it's displayed the loading cards. Yeah, so that is it. I think everything is working well now. We have finally gotten to the end of the tutorial. I'm sorry about the previous comeback that I made. I just noticed that I need to make that change. I need to make those change because those were bugs. Those were annoying bugs. So now we are now finally at the end of the tutorial. I'm not going to do any other comeback anymore in this tutorial. So everything, the rest is going to be in the next tutorial. If you need me to talk on, if you need me to make any YouTube tutorial on any topic, please let me know. Okay, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please, it's encourage me to do more. Yeah, thank you. See you in the next tutorial. Thank you.